Welcome back to Show Studio, and we're still in Paris, and tonight we're looking at Christian Dior. And everyone's looking at Christian Dior because they have had, of course, quite a checkered couple of years, and we're hoping they're going to get out of it. They've made a brave choice with their decision to have Raf Simons designing for them. The jury, I think, is still out. Some people think, yes, he's modernised it. Other people think that he's thrashing around a bit. What our panel will think about it, I don't know, but I know that these ladies are going to tell us in no uncertain terms. So let's ask them to introduce themselves, starting with...
I'm Hilary Alexander. I'm a freelance writer, stylist, and sort of thing.
She's a legend.
I'm Ruth Hogben, and I make fashion films and sometimes fashion pictures.
Thank you.
I'm Harriet Verney, and I'm a fashion writer.
And I'm Charlotte Sinclair, and I'm a fashion writer and a contributing editor at British Vogue.
Thank you all very much indeed. So let's start with you, Harriet, shall we? And see what you think about this one you've got in front of us now. Does it inspire you? Is there something new there? Is it couture?
I have an issue with that shape.
Right.
I think it's really unflattering.
Yes.
I think the skirt, like what Hilary said, I don't know what it is about that, but the two buttons on the side looks like an overweight man's trousers or something, that she's hiding something in there. But I don't think it's flattering at all.
No.
It doesn't show off much, and the one thing that he could show off is the collarbone, but he's hiding it underneath those sleeves. The shoes are great.
I think that what do you think it's made of? What do you think the fabric is? Does it tell us?
It looks like wool.
It'll be men's, like a worsted.
Suited. But see, I think that's yet another homage to Christian Dior, because he did this sort of thing and covered buttons with the fabric, and they're quite big buttons.
And he was very inspired by Savile Row tailoring as well.
Yes, he was, absolutely.
See,
But, that was a long time ago.
It doesn't look like it fits her at all, that's the thing. It's too big for her.
Well, that's a really worrying thing if that's the case, because this is couture. Sorry, Hugh.
No, I love the little bustier top with the peplum.
Yes,
I think
that's
that,
quite nice.
because that's tailored and it's a salute to femininity and Savile Row. I think it desperately needs a full skirt. You know, it could be above the knee, just on the knee, or just below the knee, but it needs a full skirt. I mean, that pencil skirt is so ugly, and if that's going to happen the moment you start walking...
Well, yeah. Let's go on and let's see how it develops. Ooh.
Oh.
That's a bit of a dog's dinner to me. We don't quite know.
I'll have to see close
Ruth,
up.
what do you want to say about that?
I can comment, we can comment individually, it's on a piece, but I think we might understand this a bit further on.
All right, do you want to go on?
In the collection. But I mean,
let's just do, say, a run of 4 or 5, and then we'll see if there's any coherence to it.
Nice jacket.
Well, it's a very...
It's very Dior, it's old Dior, isn't it?
Dior.
Yeah.
It's like the bar jacket, isn't it?
It's
With
basically, yes.
an asymmetric lapel.
All this referencing. Do we understand that?
No.
I quite love it though.
I rather like that actually. It's much more modern.
It feels really
It
modern.
Suddenly feels
and
that
it's loosening
now.
up.
and don't you think you now understand the first look a bit better?
No, I don't think there's any connection.
No.
Actually, do you want to quickly wave us back?
Oh, heavens above.
Oh dear.
No,
I don't think so. I think that so far there's no connection, but certainly if we flick across, forget all of those in my opinion, that's a nice jacket. That's terrific, I think. Is anyone not thinking it's terrific?
Oh, I like it. I like the colour combination, I like the black with that sort of pale eau de Nil and flash of orange.
I like the feeling of the dégagé feeling, that's...
And the sloping shoulders and
Yes.
the kind of the loosened up tailoring. But I think it's interesting, we were talking earlier, taking our lead from the notes, about how he is trying to represent in this show the entire world, and this collection is quite difficult perhaps to find the through line. As we're showing now, it's quite difficult to show the connections between things, but it's because he's trying to do something that represents Europe, something that represents Asia, something that represents the Americas and Africa. So there's a lot going on, and I think that translates into the sense of like perhaps there isn't such a clear sense of direction through each piece. And I don't know whether he showed each section of the globe in its own kind of contained moment.
Was it Prokofiev who wrote that thing about something for 3 oranges? Perhaps this is for 4 oranges.
The Love of 4 Oranges.
Love of 4 oranges.
Well, I'll tell you what I think is, if we can go back to that one a moment, he's dead keen to go, he must want to go home, this boy. I feel very strongly that that's sportswear. It looks like sportswear.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the new couture, they might as well all close.
He said he wanted to dress women on the street, didn't he? That's what he said.
In
But
couture.
Yeah.
Bless, I love that. I love
But it's
that.
sort of like a scattergun approach. That's what I think. If he's going to cover 4 continents, it doesn't really.
I think we've got to come back to Charlotte's comment about the 4 continents, you know, as we see more. I think it's absolutely ludicrous to do this, because this means that you think that women in China who are going to buy couture will have a different attitude to the women in South America.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that that's
Yeah.
convincing
Or Africa.
to me. Or Africa, or anywhere. Let's see. But remember, all of this is PR stuff. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. All we have to do is judge by the clothes, basically.
I love that colour.
It's a beautiful colour, but
colour.
It doesn't look as if it fits.
it doesn't look as if there's enough tailoring in it for it to be couture. Maybe I'm wrong, but let's see another.
So this is where Africa starts coming in, I guess, with the necklace.
But then again, that long drapey bit could be a reference to the sari.
Yeah.
So it could be Asia.
Indeed.
There's quite a lot of this cut-away draping, isn't there? And then the sort of Maasai fabric underneath.
Radical is a word that springs to mind.
Well, I would prefer the word worrying, really. I mean,
And then
now
back
that's
to fashion.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's really that's a rip-off from a 50s
Yes,
Dior.
or even
If
47 New
If you
Look.
go to that marvellously useful reference book, Dior in Vogue, which was done about 40 years ago, you will see that dress in black, except for the skirt. The top is virtually the same. And I like that. Do you like
I
that?
like
Or do
that.
you think it's old-fashioned?
No, I liked it very much. It would depend also what the fabric was.
Yes.
So now we're back to
Moving,
Paris.
don't
aren't
we?
Yes.
we? Yeah.
Well,
Just
that's
to
the
see.
sad thing, you see, when they don't stream. What I find irritating is not only do we not see them moving, but we don't see the back. And the back is a very
so
integral
important.
part, particularly of couture.
And the shoes, because the shoes with the more sportswear top that we saw earlier and the black pants had quite interesting, almost like sneaker looking
Yes.
shoes. Accessories.
Well, that's the sort of thing you'd expect him to do.
Yeah.
To
It feels
put
quite right.
sneakers, you
Yeah.
know. But they'll be very beautiful and they'll be perfectly made and everything. Now that, I suppose, where's that? India?
What's that made from?
It's quite textured. Can anyone see it close up? Can we zoom in?
No.
Is that the one that's got the Japanese shibori quilting?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's
You
what
know,
it
they
is.
make
Maybe
it-
it's Japanese.
It's very finely done.
I really love that.
Yes, it's
And-
pretty elegant, that.
And I'd like to film it and I'd like to wear it. Not at the same time because it might look a bit odd and impractical.
But that feels very
How
rough.
would you film it? What would you have her doing in that?
Well,
Beautifully lit and just
it's a simple line, which is
very.
nice. It's not. I would say that it was feminine, but not in a whimsical way. It's hard and it's got graphic shapes to it, and I think I'd probably try and react to that shape
Okay.
with hard lines. It's not floaty, but because you can see the hips, it's a beautiful feminine, but quite. It's not soft feminine. It's quite hard feminine.
Which makes it modern feminine,
Yes.
really.
Yeah,
I
and
agree.
it's not romantic
Yeah.
feminine.
Do we think we've got an age group developing yet? What sort of age group he's actually aiming at? Do we have a feeling that it might be the woman over 30 or under 30, or what do we feel?
I mean, I think that's a huge generalisation. I mean, not generalisation, but who?
Depends on the woman.
Yeah,
how she
because
feels, doesn't
I
it?
think because
Right,
you know
okay.
you don't want to get to a certain age and think, oh, I'm
Right.
50, I shouldn't be wearing a skirt like over my knee. But, you know, if you've got cracking legs, get
Go
on
for
get
it.
a
Go for
mini
it.
skirt on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it, exactly.
That's extraordinary.
Wow.
Is it knitwear?
Looks like.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, Just as the other one was very interesting and actually rather beautiful, as you've said, I think that's exceedingly disagreeable to the eye.
It's like a dragon fruit, isn't it?
But then does that necessarily mean? I quite like the fact that it's quite odd. But I mean, and it's not. I don't know. All the things that you might dislike about it, I think I like about it. Like I like the fact that it's got all those bubbles on it, and I like the green and the orange and the black. And then there's something going on up here around her neck as well, so it's continuous. But I like the fact that it looks like some sort of fruit.
But then, is that what a customer seeking Dior Haute Couture would want? I mean, surely if you were wanting something like that, wouldn't you go someone like Gareth or somebody else?
What I do think is it's a well-known saying that the only clothes that women never buy for themselves, pay for themselves, is couture clothes. Now, I don't think that the average husband, lover, boyfriend, brother, father would think, oh, that costs many thousands of pounds. Well, what did you get for your money?
Yeah.
If it makes the model look lumpy, what's it going to do with the average woman?
And it's probably going to be around what, 30, 40, 50,000 pounds?
Probably not as high as that, but certainly well over 15, I would have thought. Let's see another.
Definitely the sari influence there, I would have said.
And I wonder what that skirt is.
Feels,
What, is it
looks like
pattern or
beads
is it
something? Is it beads? Or sequins?
It could be, couldn't it? Because we haven't seen any beading yet. And maybe he's throwing beading out. Wouldn't that be great if he did?
No, I think this is beaded, Colin. Look, the geometric beading there.
Ooh,
Wow.
this is frightening me a bit.
See, that to me has similarities with, his previous collections where he uses that quite sort of texturized silk that has a kind of mirrored pattern on it.
Yeah.
So it feels like it's part of the same conversation.
But it's quite aggressive. Look at that belt and look at the chain around the boot.
Yes. It's also a little reminiscent of McQueen's sort of insect looks that he used to do,
The collar's great. I like that. It's at the top of a vase.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
that would film well. It would light well, and it would have so much.
I bet it looks
amazing
good in movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and every single strand, are they beads? That could be in light something that moves so fantastically.
I bet it's one of those things that actually on the body looks a lot better than in sort of still.
Harriet, have you seen anything you'd wear yet?
No.
No?
No, that's definitely Maasai.
I like that actually.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
Yes.
There's something really awkward about the shape, and if you're an average woman wearing one of these dresses on the street, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
I prefer the old Dior fuller skirt. I think that's much more beautiful to move in, and I feel very feminine like that. But this doesn't feel
But I
right
guess-
to me. It doesn't feel Dior even.
I guess that's the difficulty in how do you take on this very venerable house but move it forwards. And
modernise it,
and move it forwards.
But he's very minimal, isn't he?
Yeah.
Dior's not that minimal, so it's
No.
quite difficult. I don't know why they chose Raf for it.
Well, no, I think that's a very good question. Why did they choose him? But having chosen him, I think that, we have to let him do what he wants.
Yeah.
I think his first couple of collections were really too influenced by John and trying to make an easier version of John. And
Do
it wasn't
you?
possible.
I didn't feel
You
that
didn't feel
at all.
that?
No, I felt it was
that
very
strongly. I thought he
clean.
was out of his depth. I certainly don't think this is typical of Raf Simons.
Feels very different from the couture we saw in January, doesn't it? With the garden and the flowers and the beading.
Absolutely. But I thought that was so twee.
Did you?
Oh,
I
thought
loved
it was
that.
terrible. Oh, Laura Ashley, here we go. I thought,
I loved it.
No. What do I know? But I don't think women want to be like little milkmaids. It's not a lot.
Sometimes.
Some
It's
of
not
the
at all.
pieces were so gorgeous.
Well, Grayson
though.
Perry does.
Well, that's what's wrong with it, isn't it, really?
I like the hair. I like the
It's a very svelte
slip
look,
back.
yeah.
I love that. I think they all look
Yes.
fantastic because it just, you don't even really notice it. It just lets the couture stand out even more, I think.
And the women actually look very grown up, don't they? Very sort of sophisticated and soigné.
Quite stern.
Tough.
Yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
tough, oh yes, well.
But that's the difference. Do we all think about Dior being something that should be pretty, whereas we're getting something shown that's tough? And
No, I don't think we feel that, do we? I mean,
No.
let's be honest. To get the sort of man who's going to pay for those sort of clothes, you've got to be pretty tough, I would think. You know, weed them all out and get to the top echelons of the bankers, really. But no, to be serious, I know that's very
I like
old Dior. That's very old Dior, isn't it? That silhouette.
It's
Don't you agree,
sequined.
Hills?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it is, you know,
Is that skin or what is it?
I think it's the Prince of Wales check with sequin.
Yeah,
the sequin
yeah.
treatment on
Oh,
top.
right.
So it's been sequinized or satinized or
Pity
plasticized.
about the big sort of pockets or whatever they are at the front. What are they? Pockets, are they?
It's like a jacket, or it's either a
It
two-level
has a kind
skirt
of double peplum, I think,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
But that isn't flattering for
No,
for
you
most
bet
women. A
it's not.
peplum skirt is
No,
not flattering.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Except if you are that shape,
Yeah.
then it's super flattering.
yeah.
This is obviously a sort of judo look,
Yeah.
perhaps. How many couture clients practice judo, do you think, martial arts?
Good point. Good question.
This is obviously when they go to the upmarket dojo.
Well, maybe. Ruth, do you think we're being a little too hostile here? Because I think
Slightly.
secretly you're liking it more.
Well, no, I'm not secretly liking it. I just think that there's some really tough shoes to fill, and I think that in any job, when you start it takes a while to sort of find your feet, and he's having to do it publicly.
That's the problem. of
And
course.
I think that
Yeah.
and he's also got to make a huge success out of it financially. I mean, the pressures, we know the pressures
Immense.
because of what's happened to our favourite people in fashion the last few years. The pressures are immense, and I haven't seen anything that revolts me, and I haven't seen anything that's gone like, oh, I really don't like it. I haven't seen things that make my heart skip, but I've seen things that I think go, wow, that could look so good in a film. And there are also things that I feel that I could go, yeah, I could wear that. And I like people, sometimes when I'm out, people pointing at me saying, what's she wearing? I sometimes quite like that. So I think there are some people that like to sort of get, sort of like, people don't get it or they don't understand it. So I'm sort of not wanting to put too much of a hard judgment on anything yet. Did I just ramble?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That must be South America, I would have thought. Some touch of caramba there.
Ready to rumba,
Yes, quite.
or Strictly Come Dancing.
Even.
I guess it comes down to the idea of whether couture is all about the designer's artistry and the kind of the highest of the high of that kind of design process, or is it about selling? Because everyone always kind of complains that couture is in its last dying gasps, and why are we even doing it anymore? But I don't know, is there a kind of commercial imperative to it, or is it just about artistry and it's showing off the house of Dior?
I think it depends how the house is functioning overall on a financial level. If you take somewhere like Chanel, for example, they are selling so much perfume, handbags, shoes, and ready-to-wear that they really don't need to worry if a couture collection costs 5 or 6 million to produce and doesn't sell. But, I mean, in Chanel's case, it does sell. I think when you're looking at a new designer moving into a house such as Christian Dior, which has obviously had its troubles, there's an imperative on both levels
to hit
the mark, because if you don't sell all the handbags and shoes and sunglasses and perfume, then there is nothing left to bankroll.
I don't think the client
couture.
should suffer just because they can't get their accounts together.
Well, that's what happens
Yeah.
Well,
in a way.
I would think that Dior's not sort of sweating when they're opening a bank statement. I think they're pretty well comfortable, certainly. But
But couture is meant to be the aspirational part, isn't it, of the fashion house? And then you get,
Sure.
the diffusion lines
Is
come
the-
in, but
is-
this
is-
isn't
yes.
aspirational to me. If it's,
Yeah, to me this isn't quite special enough, but then he might be wanting to take it back to real couture when the original Dior and Yves Saint Laurent were doing it, which was that you bought your whole wardrobe.
Couture.
You know, so there were beautifully tailored suits and dresses and everything. Because what has happened with couture has become more and more and more fancy evening wear. You know, you hardly ever
Like
see
a ball gown.
Exactly. And I think it'd be great if he could use his street nous and his own experience, which is considerable. You know, he's not just a little acolyte trying to copy John Galliano. He's a very good designer, and he could make this his own place by really sort of going into the whole tailoring business and doing a proper wardrobe.
But then I guess that's what he means by saying he wants to see women on the streets wearing couture.
Yeah.
And that's what he
Yes.
probably
And
means.
that's in a
with it.
sense
for
of
25
reality.
grand, it's
Yeah.
like,
That's really,
I mean,
it's a very flimsy statement because
Oh, it's a meaningless
You know,
statement.
meaningless.
No woman in couture is going to be waiting for the number 34 bus.
no.
do you know what? I really would if I could. I'd love it. Just to have the whole collection couture standing there from a
the
bus.
bus stop.
Love it.
Make
You
a
know, some
great
of these
film.
jackets, but then some of these jackets,
We have a
his
subversive
couture,
influence
you
here.
could. With this couture, you could.
Yeah.
With the
he's
jacket,
getting-
and that's
I'm
what he
saying.
means, yeah.
He's getting towards making it more real, which is no bad thing.
Yeah, he says in the notes, doesn't he? He wanted to introduce a sense of reality to
Oh, did he?
couture.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just redefining it.
See, I really love that. I think that's great. It's interesting. I wouldn't.
I think it would be great if the skirt was shorter. I think it looks a little dowdy with the long skirt. But it could look very sexy with a shorter one, I would have thought. What do you think?
Yeah, I like the colour
like
scheme. I like
Oh,
the
yes,
shape of the bodice.
lovely, yes.
And I love the shoes. I actually do like the length with that shoe. I
Right,
think the whole,
okay.
it's as a whole, it looks.
Looks right?
Yeah.
I like the length with how much, because it's quite a low bustier. I quite like the length. I like
As a
that
sort of
bit of
balance.
skin, that amount of skin on show, and just
Yeah.
being up there.
Yeah.
It's quite it's refined, and I think if it was any shorter, then maybe it would look a bit too much.
At a rough head count, at this point, we're slightly under halfway through, I suppose, or maybe halfway through. Have you seen something which you think, if I had the money, I would buy it? No. Nothing.
Can I buy a house first?
Yeah.
And you're saying I've got a house, and I've got a car, and I've got this extra bit
All
of
right,
money.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he hasn't grabbed us quite yet.
No.
If I had the money,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd be buying a few things.
Would you?
If I had the cash,
Which ones would you buy?
the block
The
boob
one,
tube knit one.
the one that we were worried about.
No,
yes.
the one you not the fruit one.
Not the orange skirt,
Not
the other
not
one.
the fruit one, the
Yeah.
one with the 3 blocks.
Oh,
the
yeah.
one
Yeah, that
before
was
it.
beautiful.
Right, okay.
I'd definitely put that in my bag.
Any other takers for?
Yeah, I think there's some good stuff coming up that I would actually.
Okay.
Maybe a
good.
pair of scissors and
yeah.
I'd cut it a bit and change it and then I'd buy some of it.
Sacrilege. Love
Yeah.
it.
Sacrilege.
That's like, who
That's
was
what
that girl? Like the girl who burnt all her Birkin handbags.
Just cut them a bit shorter. I quite like that. That's
Is
colour.
that fur? Is that
That's
bright
fur,
red
then I'd
fur
Is
Yeah.
it fur?
with shoulder missings?
Yeah.
Kimonos.
I'd
Yes.
buy that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting, certainly.
Or is it a
I like that
wrap?
shape with
See,
the
we can't
opening at
see
the
the
leg. I think
back.
that's quite sexy.
But it might just be sleeves and a wrap. Like, was it crossover at the front?
No, sleeves as well. It's like, the kimono but without the big square sleeves.
But it might
as
not
well.
have a back.
I think it's a very sort of exaggerated scarf
Yeah.
with
Do you?
sleeves.
With sleeves, yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, it's a
All right.
slav
Oh, it looks like a
or a
colour.
skeeve.
That's interesting.
Possibly.
It's a great colour. Land of the Rising Sun. Perfect for China.
Well, this is a pagoda look, so I guess this is
But the
certainly
scissors come
Asia.
in.
What?
It's where the scissors come in. You could just cut a bit and then.
It looks as if it moves.
Great for film, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Jennifer Lawrence on the red carpet, sort of. Yeah.
South America. I think if we could see the fabrics and perhaps look inside and
Yes.
appreciate the workmanship.
It's also pretty dark, but the thing that I most miss when they don't stream it is the actual movement. You learn so much from the way it moves around the body.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's quite amazing.
Would you buy that?
Yeah, I like that.
I think that is
I'd buy
actually
it, but I
amazing.
like
I
it.
wouldn't wear
It's
it.
just hit a button.
Well, I might have worn it, say, 30 years ago, but I don't think my boobs would stand up to that much scrutiny.
You can see the movement in that. That's the first
Yeah.
time we've seen the movement.
I think
in
the
one
skirt
so I think that's really beautiful.
Looks
For many
sensational.
days, and that's-
Like a wonderful whipped meringue.
yeah.
Also, it's kind of got that continuation from his previous collection with the sort of tight knits with the full skirts, but a play on that with a bit of
That's a
Maasai
bit McQueen,
beading,
isn't it?
or yeah,
And is that red metallic boots, you think,
with
over
a
the
sort
knee
of
boots
stripe, isn't it?
coming
Yeah.
down? Or is it just the way the lights hit them?
I think it's.
But that, I
Definitely
think,
looks metallic.
doesn't
in
it?
there,
I think
yeah.
that is rather
If you
sensational.
were filming it, Ruth, or if you were styling it for a fashion shoot, what would you surround this with? What would you have with it?
I don't know. I mean,
A factory?
I don't know. I mean, I really like it. I'd have to think
Yes,
about it a
yes.
bit more. I really love the idea of having something so simple and knit with something so extravagant on the bottom. So I like the mix of the simple and the complicated. So I really like that. So I'd probably start
Well, it's a
thinking
bit
about
like
that.
the way you're dressed today, really, with an amazing top and then quite simple jeans.
Yeah.
Much the same thing. I'm still waiting for the gasps of delight. So the stony silence as they come.
I think it's just quite difficult to get a sense of a rhythm to it. You know,
Yeah.
the best collections have a sense of a rhythm where
Well,
you don't expect what you're
evolution as
getting
well.
next,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it
I
makes
think
sense.
I'm right in saying, though, that we are not seeing them as they necessarily came out.
Ah, okay.
Because these are just still...
Oh, do you
they're
think it's
pictures
sort of
on
a
the wall.
random order?
I suspect it is.
Oh.
No, I'm being told by our technical genius there that this is the way they came out. Well, there we
It's
are.
like having the foreplay sort of all mixed up, isn't it? You
Yeah,
want
just
it
the
sort of
day
to-
looks and
Yeah.
evening wear and everything. You know, if you think about, we had that very sporty outfit earlier with the sloped shoulders that everyone liked, and then
Wow,
you've
I
got
like
sort of
that.
this
Without the knickers, it looked good.
without
Yes,
the knickers.
Yeah, the knickers are hard.
No, honestly, I think
The knickers
without
are
the
absolutely
knickers.
hard. Yeah.
And also that would film,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
because you
really
imagine
beautiful.
Be
the
beautiful.
skirt moving.
Beautiful.
So that's
That
when,
principle.
you know, Raf's, I guess, real skill is that sense of that beautiful minimalism. Just that's all about the shape, isn't it? And then
Yeah,
the
and the
fabric.
silhouette, and it's really beautiful.
It's kind of origami, the pleating, isn't it?
It doesn't fit her.
What have we got here?
Yeah.
What is...
Is that printed or is
I
it?
was going to say, is it printed or painted or... What is
It's
it?
like an embroidered check or something, isn't it?
Is it a dress or is it a jumpsuit?
I
can't
think it's
see.
a dress.
Is it a dress?
Yeah, I think it's a dress.
I quite like the simplicity
Yeah, I
of it,
like that.
like the
Really
shape
do.
and the sort of bleeding colour.
Because her shoulders look good. It's, you know.
And sheer gloves.
That's just his, you know,
Yeah, I
classic
like that.
shape, isn't it? That, the kind of corset top.
Hmm.
So this
Where
is
would that be? Hills, Africa?
Africa, I
Yes,
think.
yeah. You know, is it the Bushmen of the Kalahari who paint themselves with...
Yes, yes.
So are there like some serious gloves going on?
Mm.
But again, although I
they
can look at
bleeding?
this and think, you know,
That is
God,
skeleton
how
gloves that you get.
amazing, extraordinary, wild, wonderful. I can't look at it in the same breath and think, Dior, this is what is confusing me.
Well, no, it doesn't have the same sort of obvious beauty that Dior has had.
Because you remember when John did, in his very first couture collection for Dior, when Galliano did his debut at the Grand Hotel in Paris, there was the Maasai influence mixed in with
very
the new
much,
look.
yes.
But that was done in a way which I think was more user-friendly, perhaps is the
Well, I think-
phrase I'm groping for.
I think we have to be absolutely honest here. John Galliano was a one-off genius, as Alexander McQueen was.
Is. He's not
Well,
dead.
we hope he's going to come back, but we don't know. Whereas Ralph is a very, very, very good designer, but there are lots of other very good designers.
And also he's a minimalist, first and foremost, isn't he?
Are we agreeing with this, or are you looking at me
No, I mean,
with knives in your eyes?
I think it's really hard because they're such different designers, but for a while people will keep referring back to the Galliano shows that they love, you know, and I think that's the hard bit because we have to sort of, you know, and this is fashion, and we need to put
Also,
a full stop to something and welcome something else.
Sure.
Also, I don't think that necessarily young people would look to Dior under Galliano and think, right, that's a label I want to wear. And I think maybe with this kind of much more minimalist and certainly the lengths were shorter in the first show that Raf did for Dior. It had a bit more youthfulness. I don't necessarily think this has masses of youthfulness in it, but certainly
that's a very good point.
It's a total clean break for the label, and it kind of attracts a different kind of customer, I think.
But then isn't that dangerous? Because if Dior already has customers, and it did or does, where are they going to go if they don't particularly like
If
this?
they don't like it, yeah.
Would they go straight across the road to Chanel?
That's very true of every couture house which has a strong personality. I mean, you either like it or you don't like it.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about the ones that it is built up. You don't want to get rid of. It's like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, isn't it?
But then it's how do you sort of hamstring your designer to make them try and just do what has always been. You know, there's looks in there, for example, that would definitely not be scaring the horses. That beautiful kind of Parisienne dress with the off the shoulders. So I think there's enough continuity there, but I think he's trying to evolve as well.
Harriet, if you had had the choice, who would you have put in after John Galliano? You say choose the right designer. Do you really think that Raf is in the wrong place?
Maybe it's just because I have in my mind my idea of Dior is completely opposite of this. Maybe I should be more open-minded. But I go to Dior for a certain look, and this isn't the look I go to Dior for. You know, I'd even go to Com for something like this, but I wouldn't go to Dior, and that's just it really upsets me actually when I look at this. You know, see St. Martin students going, right, the only place I want to work is Dior because of what Galliano did, because of what Dior is, because how he started in the shows and the femininity. And then it comes to this, and I know he's got a lot to live up to, and we should be more forgiving of these greats in the fashion world, and I completely understand that. But then again, this is what he's creating, and, you know, it's our job to critique it, I guess, isn't it? So
yes, I mean, he's put himself, they all put themselves on a level where we have to criticise them seriously. It's no use saying, oh, it's lovely, you don't think it's lovely.
But it's not embracing the female form for me.
No.
But if I wore that, I wouldn't feel great about my body. I'd just feel a bit like, modern.
And I don't think it's necessary that a designer has to completely sort of, you know, forget every single creative idea and take on, you know, the aura of a house. Because you only have to look at Karl Lagerfeld at Chanel. Now, he definitely wiped away quite a lot of Lagerfeld, but still kept Chanel. And when you look at the Chanel collection, you instinctively know it's Chanel. Whether or not you like the look or not doesn't matter, but it is unmistakable as Chanel. But it's evolved.
Do you think that shows that you've seen before this one have had more of that balance between traditional kind of Dior aesthetic but taking it forward with Raf's particular minimalist sensibility?
I think bits and pieces. I've never looked at a complete Dior collection since the beginning and thought, the whole thing is. I'm still waiting for him, I think, for the breakthrough.
Okay.
But how long does it take Karl Lagerfeld to get the Chanel collections right?
Well, I think that we've got to remember, Karl is a very experienced designer. He's been there for a very long time. But it didn't take him that long.
No.
It didn't take him that long at all. What I think is amazing about Karl is it hasn't got tired. No. That's what I would have predicted years ago. I thought, well, you know, they'll have to get rid of him after a time. But in fact, he's right up there as high as he could possibly be, which is amazing, really. Yeah. But he is an amazing man.
I like those stripes. I think that's good colour, red and blue. Yeah. I love those.
I did like the stripes that was done in the previous Dior collections.
They'd make fabulous curtains, those. You know, in a sort of slightly loose bar or something, you know.
That looks to me like a really gorgeous coat.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is
Probably.
pinstriped on the outside
Yeah.
and striped, and I would,
Yeah.
if it's as good as it seems to look as if it is, I would, if I had the money, I
So
would buy that.
Yeah.
At the moment, we're kind of
And the
favouring
shoes.
the sort of American sportswear, but slash kind of
Yeah, 'cause
Africa.
that's where his heart is in a way, isn't
Yeah.
it, really?
But I think he's going for it with those colours. He's actually going for it. The other stuff
Yeah.
seems to be like he's shy or something.
Wow.
But,
That's one for Gwyneth, I expect. Isn't
Yeah. You have to be extremely tall and skinny to wear
Yeah.
to carry off that kind of skirt,
Yeah.
though.
It's a
Very
marvellous
tricky.
colour.
And recognisably Rafa Dior now, so that's kind of interesting that he's created a bit of a visual
Yes,
signature
that's
for
true.
himself. Can't really see that.
To me, see, that's just a dumb dress. Any designer can do
But I
that. Just a
bet
question of how good it's just a question of how good the atelier is from
Yeah.
the point of view of the cut.
Or how many
Be
hours
interesting
of
to see what
embroidery
it
and hand
looks
beading
like.
they put into
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
What did you say, Charlotte?
It will be interesting to see what it looks like up close.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're all beautiful up
that's
close.
good.
See, that reminds me of Yoji, though. I've seen Yoji do those kind of dresses, you know, with the stripes.
Yeah.
Colin,
But take away that black over bit, that would be quite cool, but tailor it a bit. But otherwise it's a bit baggy, isn't it?
Is it black or is it aubergine?
Kind of looks more, maybe,
I don't know.
bluey.
Is that the finish? Well, let's just whiz back and we'll go through now and see if we can find a coherence. I think there is a bit of a coherence coming. And then we've got to just give our verdict and say whether we think it's a good collection or whether we think it's a very good collection or whether we don't.
I like the stripes, definitely.
Yeah,
I think
that's a really
Yes.
strong
that,
point.
for me, sort of, it suggests Dior, it suggests Raf, and it seems to be an area where Raf and Dior are successfully kind of
Come together.
coming together.
Yes.
And you made it continental. The stripe's quite continental.
Very
Yeah.
continental. Very continental.
Yeah, classic.
The cutting of the skirts, the long skirt, seems very, very, very good indeed. The ones that
striped as well?
flow out like a tulip or a lily or whatever.
And I
I
quite
really like these.
yeah.
These two looks, I think, are really
Yeah.
great.
And I do like the strange mix of that pale aqua with black.
Yes, it's a good
Pale
combination.
sort of
I
Audeneal
agree.
with black.
Yes.
That I really like, actually.
For me, I don't understand it.
No.
I might
quite
need to
like
spend
that,
a bit more
weirdly. It's a silk
time.
bit.
That looks a bit droopy, that one, I think.
Yeah,
This, I think, is lovely.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
That's a bit derivative.
Just don't get it.
That feels like it's in the wrong show.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
I love
nice.
that.
That's one of my faves.
Actually, he does romantic rather well, doesn't
When he is, when he lets himself really be
he?
romantic.
Yes.
Some really good colours, actually.
Yes, nice colours, good colours.
But do you know what I mean? It's so scattergun. He's trying to
Yeah.
hit every nail on the head and he's nearly getting it, not quite there, but
I would have sent them out in a completely different order. I would have had all the stripes together and, I just think then perhaps you would have read the message more clearly.
But do we know what's going on in the background? You say there were photos or... No, I don't know what's going on in the background. The music or
Terry
if it changed
No,
or...
it's going to be photographed by four photographers, one for each continent.
Okay.
They had Patrick de Marchelier,
Who are they?
Terry Richardson, Paolo Reversi and Willy
Willy
van
van der Peer.
Yes.
Yeah. But apparently the images came up during the show.
Oh, did they? They're actual photographs.
No,
They've done
but
them.
we don't
Oh,
see
they're
Yeah,
them.
but they've done
pictures
No.
of-
We don't see their pictures.
Yeah, but it's in the show behind.
Yes.
Girls.
The pictures have
Yeah.
already been done. in
Yeah.
other words.
As the show was going on.
That changes everything, doesn't
But
it?
surely we need to work this out though, because why are we not viewing it properly with like the background? And why are we?
Because they
having
obviously...
to
Because
be-
they didn't live stream it, and
Yeah.
So we only get a half
Not
of
fair,
what it's
is
all
it?
about.
Or even a
Well,
quarter.
it's not fair to him because we're being quite critical, and maybe
Yeah.
if we were in the room, we'd be not quite hilarious.
Euphoric?
Hysterical.
Dior was one of the first fashion houses that you go into a room and it's completely silent. There's women critiquing it. There's no music, nothing. It's the clothes.
So
now
we're
it seems
taking
like
it back.
True.
yeah. Now he's gone the complete opposite, hasn't
That's quite beautiful.
he? Yeah.
Again, stripes. He could have had a whole collection out of stripes, couldn't he?
That I was thinking about that. That is taken from the Saint Laurent's safari jacket, which he did when he was at Dior. That's what that sort of peplum thing is. That's pretty much, I'm sure, has been inspired by Yves Saint Laurent's safari jacket.
And is that houndstooth? Is that blown up? Is that what that is? That print?
Because he did houndstooth in the current ready-to-wear.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
I can't get on with that look.
I mean, the skirt looks like it's a plastic tablecloth. I'm sure it's not. It's probably python or ostrich skin that's been treated, in 1,000 different
Almost certainly.
ways. But
But I can imagine a Dior couture client responding to that because, again, it's got that classic kind of 40s, 50s, the buttons, the line, the silhouette looks like a classic Dior.
I'm quite liking these.
I
'cause
quite like that.
Yeah.
See
I think the
them-
blue
yes.
stripes have been moved up a couple of inches and it'd be more flattering. Not down there.
But let's think about this. Can we go back one, please?
Yeah.
If you think it'd be more flattering because it would make her have a smaller waist, this might be coming from the reference of Africa, whereas a bit bigger butt is actually seen more attractive.
Yes.
You're right.
So then maybe he's trying to accentuate hips and butts to make it look more authentic where it's from. So I'm trying to train myself that maybe, big hips is okay. No, you don't think so?
I don't
Alright.
think so.
I'll get back.
I don't
back
think
to
so.
It
the
just
special
elongates the
care.
body, doesn't it, when he's done the shortened to legs.
And I don't
No
really
one
think
wants
that's
that, do
what's
they?
in his mind at all. But I may be wrong. That's the one that worries me more than any of them, I have to say.
I think it's quite clever. If that's knitwear, it's quite clever. But
I'm not sure it is knitwear.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's so hard to tell.
it could be rubber.
It could be rubber.
Oh,
I
I'd
like
that.
it even more.
Yeah, if it was rubber, it'd be really cool.
I really like those two. I think they might be my favourites. Sorry.
Right, so that's
Might
okay.
have to arm wrestle.
That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
I don't like that at all.
That's a bit like one of those transvestites that does half a woman, half a man, isn't
Yeah.
it? And then swaps like that.
It's just
Yeah.
quite an unfortunate choice of fabric. I think it's very droopy.
I love that.
Yeah.
I
That's
really
great.
do.
I love the gloves as well.
I would think
Yeah.
that would be a real seller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge seller, yeah.
Probably in black.
Yeah.
Prada did off the shoulder too, remember?
Yeah.
Quite like that. Such
So
a good
good.
colour though.
Good colour, bad shape. It's like she's got something stuffed in her pocket. It's really strange.
Is that a train though, and she's...
Stuffed in her pocket. It's weird.
It's hard to tell.
If it's a train, it's very odd indeed.
That I just find rather bizarre. It looks far too big for her. And sort of.
It's an echo of a Christian Dior shoulder, though. Definitely. See, I just don't know why they don't. If I were him, I wouldn't look at any archive at all.
No, but it's in the
I'd
back of your
just
mind,
say-
isn't it?
I just say, what do I want women to look like? And we don't care what John did. We don't care about what Gianfranco Ferré did or Yves Saint Laurent or whatever. Because you get mad because there've been so many of them. You know.
Mark Bowen was there too.
Mark Bowen as well. Right, and so we come there. So is it? Which is it?
Medium.
All right.
Medium, yes. Medium.
All Oh,
Medium to up.
Yeah, half.
one
half up.
definitely
What
down.
are you down?
I'm not allowed to have a vote.
Oh, isn't that
double
lucky?
one.
I've got to be made impartial. No, in fact, I would say it's like that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
If I
send
were,
in
no, I'm not
suggestion.
on the- if I were doing anything, I think it might sort of go a little way down.
Mine's more like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Mine's
Okay,
sort of
well,
on the up.
that's,
He's got
Need
got
to-
colour, hasn't he? He's got colour in there.
we can't help it if the
Well
others
done.
don't have taste. You know, we know what we're doing. Right, well, thank you very much indeed. We've had fun, I think, and it's been very interesting. And
Sorry, Raf.
we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.